do this. In one way I'm yours. In one way we're strangers. But I know for you.
But I probably wouldn't buy one.
I'll never stop. I'll never stop.
We are staring at the fullest redesign of the highest selling motorcycle since the R1300 eclipsed the 1150. Much has been made of BMW ditching the asymmetrical GS headlight, and rightly so. And this new one condenses high and low beam into one, condenses that into the body panel, then symmetrically arranges the symmetrical running lights around it. Condense and make symmetrical. I've never seen a design language so comprehensively applied to everything else.
With its trellis frame, the GS always looked like an amateur overlanding project.
It's cracked here as well.
Like a bunch of kit stuck on a truss because that's what it was.
But the new one is condensed into one solid bike. The main frame is now pressed sheet steel, the subframe die-cast aluminum, so both can be morphed into an open structure that parts nest into from behind. And it looks like an organic exoskeleton, like there's a cave somewhere in Bavaria where adventure bikes crystallize just like this, and BMW simply breaks one off. And whether or not you like the design will depend on whether or not you have taste, but it is well designed.
Take the engine, which was inevitably wonky because one timing chain must sit behind the other.
But BMW was so committed to symmetry, they re-engineered the entire motor to get the right timing chain 4 of its cylinder and the left aft, so the entire boxer can appear symmetrical from the top, and 3.9 kilos lighter.
522 pounds was the condensed target, the same weight as a tiny Triumph Bonneville.
They actually hung a 12-kilo bag of sand from the middle of the design shop. So whenever an engineer could think of a new way to shave weight, they got to remove that much to feel the GS compacting.
BMW is bullish on alloys being strong enough off-road, and I agree. I adventured on alloys for 3 years, bent a wheel out around once, had it trued in a car shop for $100. I'm even less scared about big hits now with the active spring rate. I'll basically have a shock, and then a little solenoid valve that lets through oil pressure to another shock. So if I'm cushioning around the trails on 140 newtons per millimeter in 1/10 of a second, I can open up another 30 for big hits. I don't even have to see where I'm going anymore, because BMW's condensed rally suspension and trail suspension into one part. Obeying the rule of symmetry, BMW made a similar upgrade to the front. See, a traditional telelever kind of rakes out as the forks take a hit, which is how the GS gets more stable precisely when you'd want it to. But the cost is that the handlebars actually change angle as you go. If the old GS felt floaty off-road, it's because the handlebars actually were floating around. But this new telelever Evo uses a spherical bearing subsequent to this new handlebar plate. So the forks still rake out and get stable as the suspension compresses, but now the handlebars stay rigid. Again, BMW has condensed the feedback of a fork with the stability of a telelever into one component. Woo, it feels tight!
To condense my own thoughts, it's faster. Kinda KTM 1290-ish off-road. But more than that, the compacted tank with the fly line of the seat mirrored up it is just psychologically encouraging to ride it like an enduro saddle. Physically, yes, BMW made the pistons wider in bore, shorter in stroke, upping compression to 13.3 to 1. 95 octane is everywhere in Mongolia these days, so yes, it will be a much revier engine eventually, when BMW decides they'd like a selling point for Gen 2. For now, they've left the red line at 9,000 RPM, so it's only 6% more powerful. It just feels like 20 in the sand for all that lost weight. And the old 1250 out here, I would occasionally hold wide open. The new 1300, almost never. Condensed and made symmetrical, this is the best designed product 30 grand can buy. Not the most fun, because the Multistrada V4 is a V4 and also red, but the best designed? No doubt. Now, I said 30 grand. On the website, this starts at 18,895 because it's important to BMW that consumers go, hey, only 3 grand more than the Suzuki. But that is the base bike, and base BMWs are Sasquatches. They exist in theory, no one's ever seen one. And go into any dealership and you'll find all the motorcycles have at least the premium package installed, which adds $4,000, and that's really where BMW needs their flagship to sit. See, they think a luxury product should do things for you, should design your experience as well. Like these Vario case mounts, which are complete with electrical contacts so the bags can have central locking. You walk up and they're open. It's very nice, but the weather guards immediately fall off. And the bag itself, you don't want. It opens with this cheap plastic handle. It takes the force of 1,000 thumbs to pull. More often than not, you're just gonna yank that metal bar in there off its own cheap plastic guide. Then the bag's broken and stuck on. It's gonna take you 15 minutes to pull it off before you even begin to fix the thing. I just had to do this before we took this shot. Worse yet is hill start control. It's so intrusive, you either stall, trying to overcome the brake, or suddenly over-rev into traffic when the bike decides to release them for you. Worse again is going to be the adaptive ride height option. That's the ultimate riding machine, stole from Harley Davidson. And the bike kneels for you when you drop below 25, but it doesn't raise back up again. Here it goes, until you get above 55. So there's this 30 kph zone where your dance partner might have either of two roll axes depending on which way you come at it. It's unsettling. I know this is easy for a 6'3" guy to say, but please spend that $595 on some low-speed handling courses instead. The most awkward thing that BMW tried to do for me, though, was its SOS call.
Hey, yeah, it's me again. No, I just tipped over again. Sorry, I'm okay.
Kein Problem. Einen schönen Tag noch.
So here's the question we're left asking. If the GS is once again the definitive adventure bike, and I think it is, what does that mean for our definition of adventure?
It's simply far too big and far too heavy for any serious rough terrain.
In the 80s, it was getting a motorcycle to go around the world. But in 2024, it's not hard to go around the world anymore. You just go on vacation and keep going. Today's bikes are pretty reliable, today's roads are pretty serviced. You can just go.
Adventure motorcycling in 2024 is defined by how designed that adventure can be. Does your kickstand offer up its own kickstand? That's the mountain we have left to climb.
And I can respect that. This is the best designed product 30 grand can buy. It's just that for most of us, the best ride 30 grand can buy is a ratty R1300 RT and 25K in unpaid leave. I'm being dicky in recommending this because I really think you should buy it, but not if you can afford it. You should buy it if you can afford so much more than $30,000 that you won't have to work longer for having spent it. And this fable was told to me by the R1300 itself.
See, when it first came out, it was immediately recalled for a bad starter relay. Guys would park them at the office, some rain would get in there, bridge the contacts, and the starter motor would randomly begin cranking. Because the rider and his key were wherever the hell, the bike would just keep trying to start itself until it caught fire. Recalls happen, especially to new platforms. This one was just bad optics that it had BMWs committing suicide by self-immolation. And there's something cautionary about that image. A bike trying to go and dying because its rider was busy paying for it. Thank you very much for watching our Euro flick. I wanted glasses that would accentuate my Germanity. Unfortunately, our sponsor has 12 different frame styles, and because it's flying eyes, all of them will slither into a helmet with the clearance of a wee GS through the Starbucks drive-thru. My dailies are these gold-fronted aviators because they look metallic while retaining the paper-thin retainers. Click the link below.
It's out of gas. Shall we go and fill it up? Do we need a gas can, or can we do it like that? Where do we fill it up?
Da.
Here?
Alles klar? Jetzt kannst du wieder fahren.
Okay, good to go.
Jawohl.